Sobrang nakakagulat na balita. Grabe si Yusek Claire Castro, pinakita na. Pinakita na ebidensyang hawak ni Pbbm sa Duterte na patayo si VP Sara. Ayon sa nakalap nating impormasyon, nagulat si Vice President Sara Duterte kay Yusek Claire Castro sa inilabas na listahan ng Pdea. Nasa bakasyon kasi ang Vice President, inaantay na lang siyang makauwi sa Pilipinas. Grabe si Yusek Claire Castro, pinakita na. Pinakita na ebidensyang hawak ni Pbbm sa Duterte na patayo si VP Sara. Tara panoorin natin.
Yusek, magandang tanghali. Yusek, in response to your statement na aksyon, hindi bakasyon, the newly appointed spokesperson of the Office of the Vice President, former Yusek Ruth Castelo, mentioned na kapag pinagbatayan naman kasi yung konstitusyon, hindi naman daw talaga ganun kadami yung may enumerate na mandato ng OVP, and the job of the Vice President is almost the same din naman sa Presidente. So ano po ba ang gustong makita ng Malacanang na supposedly ay ginagawa ng Vice Presidente?
Hindi naman po siguro din kasama sa mandato ng Presidente na laging personal trip or nagbabakasyon. Hindi po natin siya hinahanapan ng anumang trabaho. Wag na lang po niyang pintasan ang pamahalaan dahil ang Pangulo nagtatrabaho. Wag niya po sanang parang ipangalandakan sa buong mundo na ang Pangulo ay walang direksyon. Dahil makikita po natin kung saan patungo ang gobyernong ito, kung paano magtrabaho ang Pangulo, lahat halos ay tinutulungan. Magsasaka, mangingisda, mga estudyante, at marami pang iba. So kung di naman po siya ang magsasalita patungkol sa ginagawa ng Pangulo, hindi naman din po makakarinig ng anumang komento mula sa atin.
Yusek, with the appointment of former Yusek Ruth Castelo, do you see this as in a way a battle of among spokespersons?
No, I don't think so. Bakit may battle? It's all about facts, truth, transparency.
Tristan Nadalo, Newswatch Plus.
Hi, Yusek. Siguro medyo related na lang din po doon sa tanong ni Mase on having, ano pong may papayo nyo na lang doon kay Yusek Castelo bilang spokesperson. And sabi niya rin po, she will not be an attack dog and will just report on sa mga nagagawa ng OVP.
Hindi siya attack dog. Definitely, VP Sara doesn't need anymore an attack dog. Hindi niya na po kailangan ng isang attack dog. So, you know what I mean. At bago po yan, mayroon lamang po tayong naisliwanagin. At ito po ay patungkol sa naging report ng Pdea tungkol sa 4,027 barangays na na-clear sa panahong July 2022 hanggang May 2025. Tandaan po natin, may certain period. Yung sinasabi po na 20,000 plus na na-clear na barangay, maliwanag po na yun po ay as of June 2025. So maliwanag po na ang binanggit po natin ng 4,027, kahit kayo po ay magtanong sa Pdea, yan po ay galing sa kanila at hindi po to kung saan lamang hinugot, dahil ang pinapatungkulan po natin ay yung panahon po ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. Kung meron 20,000 plus po as of June 2025, yan po ay total na sang-ayon sa Pdea ay barangay cleared, na drug cleared, at hindi lamang po sa panahon ni Pangulong Marcos, kundi pati po sa mga nakaraang administrasyon. Dahil as of 2003, or rather October 27, 2003, sinimulan na po itong Barangay Drug Clearing Program. Kumbaga, noon pa po ito ginagawa, pero noong 2017 po, nagkaroon na po ng muli ng bagong data, then nagkaroon ng mga panibagong guidelines. So, yung pag sinabi po natin na 20,000 plus, hindi po yun lamang sa panahon ng Pangulo Marcos Jr. So sana po maliwanag tayo doon, dahil maliwanag din po yung pagkakasabi natin sa ating pag-uulat. At ito naman pong tungkol sa ibinigay po ng Pdea, maliwanag din po na natapos ang report sa pahina 37 At kung meron man pong naidagdag na ibang blanco, maliwanag din po na ang tinapos na report na ibinigay ko po sa inyo ay nasa page 37 lang. Kung bakit natin na ibigay yung ibang mga walang laman, dahil ayoko pong pagdudahan ninyo ako dahil sa pagkakaprint po, yung page po nakalagay 37 of 74. So kung ibibigay ko lamang sa inyo po ay magtatapos sa 37, ito po makita po kung saan po yung pinaka-ending. So dapat dito lang po talaga. So, kung hindi ko po ibibigay lahat, baka pagdudahan nyo ako na meron akong itinagong dokumento. So lahat po ng 74 na papel ay ibinigay ko sa inyo para hindi po kayo magduda. Ngayon, nasabi po yata ng Vice Presidente na ito ay fabricated. So, since kung siya po ay uuwi na ngayon, maaari naman din po niyan tanongin ng Pdea para sa authenticity ng report na ating ibinigay. Para mas maliwanag lamang po. Kasi ayaw natin sabihin na itong binigay natin ay fake news. Ang mandato nga po natin ay kalabanin ang fake news. Kaya po nililinaw ko po sa inyo. So, kung hindi ko po ibibigay sa inyo lahat ang mga pahina, baka sabihin nyo, inedit ko pa. So muli, kung may panahon po ang Vice Presidente bago po siya pumunta, nasa Netherlands po at after niyang pumunta sa South Korea, kung hindi ako nagkakamali, pwede naman po niya itong tanongin sa Pdea dahil siya naman po ay Vice Presidente para malaman niya kung authentic yung ibinigay ko sa inyong record. Okay.
Ma'am, may we just get the reaction of the palace with regards to the call of Vice President Sara Duterte for former Senate witness Michael Morillo to formally file charges, especially after his serious allegations that where he said that he was just influenced to testify against the Vice President, against the former President Rodrigo Duterte and Pastor Apollo Quiboloy. And part of these allegations is where he mentioned that there are fake witnesses to testify against the former president at the International Criminal Court. Do you think this has to be investigated?
If there will be a complaint filed by Michael Morillo, it is better for him to file charges if there are issues regarding alleged fake witnesses. Because through a case, through a trial, and through a cross-examination, we will know the truth. And tulad na sinabi natin, ang trial, importante para malaman ang katotohanan kung may anomalya ba. Hindi dapat nadidismisses ang kaso lamang through technicalities. So, mas maganda makapag-file ng case si Michael Morillo para malaman kung siya ba nagsasabi ng totoo o hindi.
Considering the gravity of his allegations, do you think this warrants an investigation, ma'am?
If he will file a case.
Okay.
If this Michael Morillo will not file any case, so there's no issue.
Mm-hmm. And one last, ma'am, you think this will have any implication at the ongoing case at the ICC?
We don't have any hand on the case pending before the ICC. So, bahala na po sila doon.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Alvin Baltazar, Radio Pilipinas.
Sir, good morning po. Survey conducted by Publicis Asia Survey. They conducted a survey from June 27 to 30. It says that approval rating of the president increased to 35% in the second quarter. Anong reaction dito ng Palace?
Kung tumaas po ang approval rating ng Pangulo, maganda pong balita yan. Pero katulad na po na sinabi natin, hindi po tayo dapat nagre-rely lamang sa mga survey. Good news, bad news, kung ito man ay tumaas o bumaba ang approval rating ng Pangulo. Bakit? Dahil ang nais lamang po ng Pangulo ay magtrabaho. Hindi siya maapektuhan ng anumang survey. So, maganda po kung tumaas. Kung bumaba, syempre hindi maganda. Pero still, hindi po siya maapektuhan ng anumang numero patungkol sa survey dahil trabaho lamang po ang nais ng Pangulo para sa bansa at para sa taong bayan.
Sige po, Yusek.
Leth Narciso, DZRH.
Good afternoon, Yusek. Ma'am, has the President decided whether to approve or veto the proposed measure seeking to extend the term of office for barangay and SK officials and postpone the BSKE?
Nung tinanong po natin kanina, wala pa po natatanggap na enrolled bill. Kapag ka po natanggap na po, pag-aaralan po yan mabuti para po mapirmahan kung dapat mapirmahan. Sang-ayunan kung dapat sang-ayunan.
Sam Medenilla, Business Mirror.
Good afternoon, ma'am. On a similar topic po, meron nakuha na po ba ng Office of the President yung enrolled copy ng Konektadong Pinoy Bid?
Tinanong ko ulit. Pangako ko sa iyo, wala pa rin po yung kopya sa kanila. So, hintayin na lang po natin.
Sige po. Thank you po.
Ann Soberano, Bombo Radio.
Yusek, good morning, good afternoon. Ang Pilipinas po daw kabilang sa mga bansa sa Southeast Asia na most peaceful countries ngayong 2025. Ito po ayon sa Global Peace Index. Ito po ay isang report na produce ng Institute for Economics and Peace. Ano po ang reaction dito ng palasyo?
Muli magandang balita po yan. Dahil sa pagsusumika po ng pamahalaan ng Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr., makikita po natin ang magandang epekto nito. Pero sabi nga po natin, dapat pa pong mas maging maganda ang pagbibigay ng magandang environment, peaceful environment sa ating bansa. At mas pag-iigihan pa po dahil ito po ay isang inspirasyon para sa administrasyon na pagbutihin pa na mas maging maganda pa ang tingin ng ibang bansa sa ating kalagayan dito sa Pilipinas. At yun nga po, sabi nga natin, hindi titigil ang gobyerno para paigtingin pa ang katahimikan dito sa bansa at mas maganda rin po na makasama natin lahat-lahat, pati po ang mainstream media, pati mga social media content creator na mas paigtingin pa natin at ipalabas natin ang good news kung ano yung ganda ng bansa at medyo iwasan natin yung negative para po ito naman para sa bansa natin. Yun lang po.
Yusek, dagdag ko lang. Ang mga ganitong data, paano po ba ito nakakatulong din bukod po sa peace and order natin sa issue pong pang-ekonomiya and investment?
Kapag ka po kasi nakita po ng karatig bansa, ng ibang mga foreign nationals na ang bansa natin ay tahimik naman pala at ang hindi naman yung nakikita lagi nila na medyo negatibo sa mga news, mas makakaakit po tayo ng mga turista papunta sa ating bansa at ito po ay makakapag-generate ng income at at the same time makakapag-generate din po ng investment. So, pagpupursigihin po talaga ng pamahalaan na mas pagandahin pa po ang tungkol sa kagandahan at katahimikan ng bansa ng bansa. Ngayong umaga ay makakasama natin si Migrant Worker Secretary Hans Leo Kakdak upang magbigay ng update sa mga Pilipinong tripulante na naipit sa gulo sa Red Sea. Magandang umaga, Secretary Hans.
Salamat, Yusek, and it's good to be here po. Unang-una, ang update natin is of course yung standing directive ng ating mahal na Pangulo na gawin ng lahat para magbigyan ng ganap na proteksyon ang ating mga OFWs at lalo ng ating mga marinong Pilipino at ang kanilang mga pamilya. So, bunsod nito, yung update natin sa dalawang barko na inatake sa Red Sea ng mga Houthis at yung una ay nung linggo inatake yung MV Magic Seas at ligtas ang 17 tripulante ng MV Magic Seas at they are slated to come home tomorrow, July 11. So we can just provide yung necessary flight details nito kung gusto ninyong at least ma-update dito sa kanilang pag-uwi sa airport. Pangalawa, and then of course, we will provide the necessary, as directed by the President, the necessary whole of government assistance sa mga nanumbalik na tripulante ng MV Magic Seas. Pangalawa, itong MV Eternity Sea na inatake nung tumatawid ang huling oras ng July 7 until the early hours, midnight ng July 8. At ito ay isang barko, ang MV Eternity Sea, isang barko, bulk carrier na galing sa Egypt at nagpatuloy sa Berbera, Somalia, at patuloy sana at nag-unload ng kanyang cargo doon sa Berbera, Somalia, at patuloy sana sa Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, at papunta sa Jeddah, Saudi Arabia sa bandang kanluran ng Hodeidah, Yemen, 50 nautical miles, ay nagkaroon ng attack ang mga Houthi forces doon sa barko. Reported na may mga iba't ibang armas, merong missile na tumama sa barko, merong mga rocket-propelled grenades na hawak ang mga Houthis, at may mga skiffs, nakasakay sila sa mga skiffs o mga maliliit na barko, at pinaligiran yung MV Eternity Sea. Kahapon ng umaga ay nagkaroon tayo ng pagpupulong together with the families, kasi ang number 1 directive ng Pangulo sa DMW ay gawin ng lahat para mabigyan ng tulong, proteksyon, take care of the families, ang sabi ng ating Pangulo. Kaya't kahapon, it was the second meeting actually with the families. Nagpulong na kami the day before. But kahapon ay ng umaga, nakipagpulong kami together with the manning agency at the ship owner. At ng umaga, ng mga alas 8 hanggang alas 9, nalaman natin na may rescue efforts underway. Ngayon, nung bandang so binigyan daan namin ang rescue efforts, no? Bigyan ng puwang, bigyan ng panahon para maisagawa ito. Nung bandang lagpas ng tanghali ay nakatanggap na kami ng ulat na lumubog yung barko ng MV Eternity Sea, at at that time kumpirmado na ito ng ating manning agent at ship owner, at pati yung ating defense attaché na kaugnayan din natin sa Bahrain. Yung defense attaché naman natin sa Bahrain na kaugnay sa United Kingdom Maritime Trade Organization or UKMTO. At kumpirmado ang paglubog gawa ng matinding tama nito sa barko. Tinamaan ng engine room at ang bridge at ang communications ng barko, kaya't nahirapan talaga tayo. Walang komunikasyon with the crew on board throughout this time, no? Throughout the time na nandun sila, nalaman natin na inatake sila until ito nga yung rescue mission ay sinagawa. At ang nadatnan ng rescue team doon ay merong 5 tripulante in the water, kaya't sila ay naligtas. Ngayon, ang MV Eternity Sea has 22 seafarers, 21 Filipino seafarers with the captain, no? So 21 lahat. Ang kapitan ay Pinoy at yung isa ay foreign national. So 22. Ngayon, with the rescue of the 5 ay 16 sa ngayon. Ang inaantabayanan pa rin natin kung anong kinaratnan. Meron pa ring search operation as far as we know, at patuloy ang paghahanap sa kanila. Bukod sa 5, merong isang nahanap na Indian Armed Guard. So 6, 5 Filipino seafarers and 1 Indian Armed Guard. At yung 5 na sagip na tripulante ay papunta ngayon sa isang destinasyon na hindi ko babanggitin for security reasons. Hindi ko rin babanggitin kung paano sila makakarating doon at gaano katagal. Again, for security reasons, pagpasensyahan nyo na. But rest assured, once there will be an opportunity to get in touch with them, we will, of course, do all we can to provide the necessary assistance, and starting with medical and physical and mental health assistance that we could provide to them. And of course, to find out some details about what happened, particularly yung kinaratnan nung 16 at yung mga napapaulat sa international media na 4 na nasawi. Sa ngayon, meron kaming impormasyon ng 3 nasawi through the UK MTO, pero again, this too is subject to confirmation. Kaya't mahalagang makausap namin ang mga 5 tripulante, pero syempre bibigyan pa natin na sila ng espasyo o puwang, no? Ayaw naman natin silang madaliin o biglang questionin ng mga detalye. So when they arrive at their destination, we will make sure that they go through the necessary protocols, medical protocols, and of course, time to rest and give them the adequate basic needs before we ask them. So there will be give and take some adequate time that is necessary bago natin sila makadaupala. Meetings with all of the families. Rest assured, we have touched base with all the families. We know them to the extent that we know their personal circumstances, and we have engaged them in communications. And as of last night, we have started our personal visits to each of the families and have assured them of the President's directive to take care of them at gawin ng lahat hanggang sa makatulong kami ng ganap sa kanila. So that's it.
Thank you, Secretary Hans. We can now take questions. Tristan Nodalo, Newswatch Plus.
Hi sir, good morning po. Sir, yung bali po sa 5 yung na-rescue, 16 yung unaccounted for, pero 3 po, may reported na 3 na fatality. Pero hindi pa po.
Kino-confirm pa natin ito. It is just the information that we know from the UK MTO through our defense attaché.
Sino sir ang nakikipagtulungan sa Pilipinas, or at least have we tapped any other country to help us in the search and rescue operations dito po sa mga seafarer?
Sa ngayon, ang nagsasagawa ng rescue operations is the Maritime Security Team that had been engaged by the ship owner. Of course, we know that we have tapped the UK MTO and other international naval forces to help us monitor the situation.
Last na lang po on my part. May liability din po ba tayong tinitignan doon sa ship owner? Kasi alam ko may memorandum na rin po ang DMW na wag sana nga bumiyahe na sa Red Sea.
Yes, we're not happy of course with the way things turned out in terms of pinabiyahe yung mga tripulante sa high risk zone. Currently suspendido ang license manning agency at ang principal nito bilang paunang pagpataw natin ng regulatory measure, but there will be an investigation to take place. Napakahigpit ng ating regulatory requirements, reportorial requirements prior to boarding any Filipino seafarer to any ship that will traverse the Red Sea or Gulf of Aden. Meron pang kailangan isubmit na risk assessment, meron pang requirement ng armed guard at maritime security escort, and our initial investigation reveals that these were all not observed. At hindi lamang yun, 2 beses nag-traverse sa Red Sea. Kasi kung titrace mo yung rota niya ng Egypt to Somalia, that's one, okay, that's one turn or one crossing across the Red Sea, and then bumalik ng Jeddah, so a second one. So at least 2 counts of violations of our rules and regulations. But again, the most important thing at this stage would be the rescue of our seafarers, and this must be undertaken immediately as soon as possible.
Clay Pardilla, People's Television.
Good morning po, Secretary. Secretary, aside from the suspension, what other sanctions could the vessel owner may face po?
Well, we will get to the point where we will consider other possible legal action. Of course, what I've been referring to are the administrative cases, administrative remedies that we have. But of course, we will look at other types of remedies that are available, civil and criminal remedies. But again, that will be saved for another day. Sa ngayon, mamarapatin muna nating bigyan ng puwang o espasyo yung pagligtas sa ating mga tripulante.
Sir, one last follow-up. Based po on the initial information, kumusta po yung kalusugan, health condition ng 5, and when does the government plan to bring them home?
Yeah, tinanong namin ito kahapon dun sa aming sa ship owner na at dun sa maritime security firm. At ang sagot nila, they are in good condition. None of them have serious physical injury or illness. Of course, it's safe to say they may have some physical stress with what they went through. But anyway, as I said, there will be medical protocols, no, that will be given to them. Kaya nga sabi ko kanina, medyo wag natin madaliin yung panahon na tatanungin pa natin sila kasi, di ba, kung ano nangyari. Wag natin madaliin masyado yung part na yon kasi once they are given the proper treatment on shore, then there will be protocols that will have to be let's give them time and space with the protocols that have to be undertaken.
Maricel Halili, News 5.
Sir, magandang umaga po. Just one quick follow-up lang, sir. Ano po yung nakarating sa inyo na information about the chances of survival doon sa mga hinahanap pa ng mga tripulanteng Pinoy considering the challenges doon sa rescue efforts?
Well, we are fully aware of the at least 2 statements that have come out. The first, of course, is the Houthi statement that they have several, quote-unquote, of the Eternity Sea crew. And second is the statement of the United States that they denounced this particular action of taking in the crew and as a kidnapping action. But in either case, we are still yet to confirm for ourselves whether indeed the Houthis have the rest of the crew. So this is something that is yet subject to confirmation, and we're working closely with the Sectes, Lazaro, and the DFA along these lines.
Eden Santos, Net 25.
Good morning po, Sec. Ito pong pangyayari na ito, hindi naman po siya magiging reason para po magpatupad tayo ng pansamantalang ipagbawal muna yung pagbiyahe ng ating mga Pinoy seafarers, especially po dun sa mga delikadong ruta.
Well, sa ngayon, naghihigpit na kasi tayo in the sense that February 2024, in the sense that merong regulatory measures, yung binanggit ko kanina. One is all ship owners are asked or should divert their ships away from the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden. And in fairness, more than 50%. Many flags have already diverted their voyages, and we're thankful to these flags. However, there are those who still choose to traverse the Red Sea and Gulf of Aden, and minsan kasi ang nature ng seafaring is maaring pag-alis sa Pilipinas ng tripulante, hindi Red Sea ang pupuntahan. But it may happen that their port of call is let's say their voyage is let's say less than 2 or 3 months, still within a 9-month contract. And dun, after the 2 or 3 months, in another port of call, malalaman nilang pupunta pala ng Red Sea. So sa sitwasyon na ganito, again, reportorial requirement, risk assessments, i-report dapat ng ship owner at ng manning agent na may ganun silang isasakay na mga tripulante papuntang Red Sea. Risk assessment reports, evaluations that they need to submit, armed guards on board, maritime escorts on board. We are so strict in terms of compliance with these requirements, kaya yun pa rin talaga ang pinanghahawakan natin ngayon. And of course, yung right to refuse sailing. If there is a freedom to navigate on the part of ship owners, there is a corresponding right to refuse sailing on the part of seafarers. Sa DMW, pinadali na natin, nag-issue tayo ng department order, pinadali na natin yung to exercise ng right na yan. One is in writing, may form, downloadable, dapat ibigay ng mga manning agencies sa mga tripulante. Kung hindi ibigay, offense yun. Second is verbal. Pwedeng may mga hotlines na nakaprescribe dun sa department order. Tatawag lang yung mga tripulante natin or email. Pwede nilang gawin ito on their own without going through the manning agent kasi nga baka may konting takot sila. And then when they exercise the right to refuse sailing, they are entitled 2 months compensation and free repatriation and no discrimination. Sabihin, hindi sila mamamarkahan o ma-blacklist o ano paman. And in fact, we know of cases, higit kumulang mga 300 ang nag-exercise ng right to refuse sailing sa nakaraan. And we know for sure na hindi sila blacklist o nadi-discriminate. Ibig sabihin, nare-reassign sila sa ibang lugar.
A quick follow-up lang po. Were you informed po ang DMW na dadaan pala po yung...
Because of this. But there will be a more formal investigation that could, if found liable, possibly mete out a more permanent penalty.
Last question, Alvin Baltazar, Radio Pilipinas.
Secretary, good morning po. Secretary, just to give us an idea, gaano ba ka-risky yung ruta ng Gulf of Aden saka Red Sea?
Well, mula nung ang huling malubhang kaso natin dito was June 2024. We have had, of course, the 17 hostage seafarers na nakalaya nung early this year, nung Enero, but that case began with an abduction in November 2023. We have had another set of serious cases, 4 ang nasawi. June 2024 was the last serious case, and we have not seen any harm inflicted upon our seafarers since that time. So I could very well say that the regulatory measures were working up to the point of these two. We have observed na we are at least seeking the help of political and security experts, DFA and the DND, as to analyze or tell us kung gaano kaiba o kalabha itong bagong metodo ng pag-atake. Of course, we know na may mga skiffs, may mga RPGs, may ballistic missiles, but we want to know the intensity and the tenor of the Houthi side with respect to these particular attacks. The reason why I'm bringing this out is because magiging related yan sa pagpataw natin ng mas mahigpit pang measures. So we will have to discuss this over with DFA and DND.
Secretary, one last question on my part. Sabi nyo, may directive si Pangulong Marcos na ibigay yung assistance doon sa mga pamilya. Specifically, ano yung mga form of assistance na...
Well, sa ngayon, the most important and immediate from them, at least yung kanilang sinasabi sa amin, is yung rescue, yung safety. Understandably, di ba? At this stage, yung safety and kanilang pag-rescue would be first and foremost. There will be a proper time to provide all the necessary, at nasabi na rin namin sa kanila to, there will be a proper time to provide all the necessary assistance that we can provide. Financial, humanitarian assistance, medical and psychosocial counseling, and other forms of assistance that we provide through the whole of government interagency effort na inatasan ng Pangulo. DOH, DSWD, TESDA, and of course the DFA is there.
Yusek Claire.
Thank you, Sec Hans.
Maraming salamat.
At maaari na po akong tumanggap ng inyong mga katanungan.
Maris Umali, GMA Integrated News.
Mike.
Teka lang po.
Okay.
Okay, bago po tayo mag-start, okay, makakasama rin po natin si Secretary Frederick Go para sa ibang mga usapin patungkol sa US tariff. Good morning.
Good morning.
Sec Go.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, everyone. We are in receipt of the United States' latest reciprocal tariff for the Philippines. We are concerned that the U.S. has decided to impose a 20% tariff on Philippine exports. We are concerned that the U.S. has decided to impose a 20% tariff on Philippine exports. We are concerned that the U.S. has decided to impose a 20% tariff on Philippine exports. We are concerned that the U.S. has decided to impose a 20% tariff on Philippine exports. We are concerned that the U.S. has decided to impose a 20% tariff on Philippine exports. We are concerned that the U.S. has decided to impose a 20% tariff on Philippine exports. We are concerned that the U.S. has decided to impose a 20% tariff on Philippine exports. We are concerned that the U.S. has decided to impose a 20% tariff on Philippine exports. We are concerned that the U.S. has decided to impose a 20% tariff on Philippine exports. We are concerned that the U.S. has decided to impose a 20% tariff on Philippine exports. We are concerned that the U.S. has decided to impose a 20% tariff on Philippine exports. We are concerned that The fact remains, however, that the 20% rate is the second lowest among all reciprocal tariffs that the US has imposed on the region, the lowest being the 10% of Singapore. But more importantly than all of this, we remain committed to continuing negotiations with the United States in good faith to pursue a bilateral comprehensive economic agreement, or, if possible, an FTA. So myself, together with DTI Secretary Chris Roque and Undersecretary Perry Rodolfo and Undersecretary Alan Hepty, will be flying to the United States next week. This is actually a scheduled trip to the United States even before today's announcement, no? So there will be meetings next week amongst the trade representatives ng Amerika po at ng Pilipinas. And lastly, I just wanted to say that, of course, the economic team, the DTI, will continue to advance key economic reforms to sustain a competitive and investor-friendly business environment, and to try to build more trade relationships with other countries all over the world to create more market opportunities for our business enterprises dito po sa Pilipinas. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Go. Sam Medinilla, Business Mirror.
Hello. Good morning, sir. Sir, tatanong lang po namin kung yung po bang 20% tariff will cover all imported Filipino goods sa US, or meron pa rin pong magiging exemption? Kung magiging blanket po ba yung 20% tariff?
The normal interpretation of the reciprocal tariffs is po to, buong bansa po to. Pero ang ginawa po ng Amerika ay meron din sila mga specific tariffs for specific products. So those are still live and those still continue to exist. Although hindi po tayo masyadong affected nun because it covers mostly aluminum, steel, mga ganong klaseng produkto na hindi naman natin ine-export sa Amerika.
Yung semiconductor and electronics po kaya?
Oh, very good question. Our number one export sa Amerika ay semiconductors and electronics, no? And as of today, a very, very large part of that is exempted from the reciprocal tariffs. So, although nag-a-announce ang may mga feelers po galing sa Amerika na they are studying this, whether they will continue to keep them tariff-free or lalagyan po nila ng tariffs. Pero ang good news po sa atin sa ngayon ay karamihan ng ating exports ng semiconductors ay hindi covered ng tariffs.
Tapos, last na lang po for my part. Aside po from dun sa talks with yung scheduled talks po nila sa US next week, meron other measures pa po ba na implement yung government para po either mapababa or matanggal yung tariff? Is the government considering a talk between President Marcos and Donald Trump regarding the issue?
I will not comment on the last one kasi hindi po ako yun. Pero on at our level, the purpose talaga ng trip ay para harap-harapan na mag-negotiate. Kasi ang nangyari po after my last trip, parang nag-exchange lang ng email eh. So parang hindi masyadong I think face-to-face meeting is far more effective.
Thank you po.
Chloe Hofana, Business World.
Good morning, Sec. Sir, last Monday, Yusek Claire said we were in a good position regarding the negotiations, but suddenly, itinaas pa yung tariff. What do you think went wrong?
I think this is... I think there's some posturing here. I don't think I can comment further, but we will go there next week and we will try to bring this down if we can. But what I was trying to say in my statement earlier is more importantly than trying to bring down the reciprocal tariffs, kasi very lang po to, maliit lang na bagay to eh. Ang mas malaking bagay is if we can sign a free trade agreement or an FTA or a bilateral comprehensive economic partnership agreement. Dito po talagang makakahingi rin po tayo galing sa Amerika ng specific tariff concessions. For example, for our coconut industry, di ba? Kasi kung nagne-negotiate lang po tayo, example, mababa natin from 20% to 10%, meron pa rin 10% tariff ang coconut industry natin. Pero kung sobrang mahalaga ang coconut exports natin, pwede, in a bilateral negotiation, we can negotiate for, say, dropping that to, say, 0%. Because these are the industries that are important to us, di ba? So talagang, for me, our objective talaga is a bilateral economic partnership agreement, which the USTR has told us that this is a possibility.
Sir, next week, pupunta po kayo sa US.
Yes.
Will we recalibrate our strategy from our earlier strategy? Ano-anong specific points ang ating papalitan or i-improve in order to get what you were saying, yung bilateral economic partnership?
I think for us kasi very clearly the discussion on the reciprocal tariffs is just parang stage 1 eh. There's still a stage 2, which is the bilateral partnership agreement that we seek. And to us, ever since, it's very clear that this is the more important thing for us.
And last na siguro, sir, Vietnam just managed to lower their tariffs to 20%. But unlike Vietnam, we are not an exporting country, sir. So how will this affect our competitiveness in the US market?
Actually, Vietnam has two tariffs, no? Two tariff lines. We only have one tariff line, which is the 20%. Vietnam has two. It's 20% for all goods and 40% for all transshipment. So I think that the true tariff rate of Vietnam is somewhere between 20 to 40%, right? Let's say 30%. Pinili ko lang po yung gitna. But they have two tariff lines. We only have one. So I think we're still more competitive than Vietnam in that regard. But you have to also note, in 60% and 40%, they gave 0% on everything. Hindi naman yata natin pwedeng gawin yun.
And siguro last na, sir, dahil nabanggit mo yung mga pinoprotektahan nating industriya, may meeting po ba tayo with stakeholders in the following weeks?
Hindi na po. I think we've already done all of that in the past exercise. So we know all their positions already.
Thank you, sir.
Alexis Romero, Philippine Star.
Good morning, Sec. Since natanong ng competitiveness, yung overall economic impact, if the 20%, no, we failed, halimbawa, assuming hindi natin yun nabago, ano po yung you mentioned before yung 17 minimal, yung 20 po kaya?
Kinocompute po yan ngayon ng NEDA. Ang sabi po ng NEDA sa akin. So when we go there, we will be negotiating what we can offer for the reciprocal tariffs. And sana, hopefully, we can go into the stage 2 discussion of the bilateral agreement. Pero ang primary objective ay yung stage 1 pa rin.
Salamat po.
Yeah.
Last two questions. Maris Umali, GMA Integrated News.
Hi, sir. Good noon. How confident are we that we will be able to lower the tariff, considering that initially it is supposed to be at 17 and now it has been moved to 20%? And you mentioned something about posturing. How confident are we that after your talks with them, this will be at least softened a bit?
Very difficult for me to answer that question po. We'll do our best.
Sir, can you just enlighten us about what exactly are the products covered by this 20%? You mentioned that at least one of the top
20% tariff.
Okay.
But America has sector-specific tariffs and sector-specific exemptions. So it has nothing to do with us.
Okay.
So the semiconductors that I'm talking about that are exempted is not because of us. It's because America chose to exempt certain semiconductor sectors because they deemed it important to their for example, supply chain, or deemed it important to their national security. So they exempted certain semiconductor categories. And fortunately, swerte tayo that a lot of those that they exempted are actually our semiconductor exports to the United States. So the rest of the products are subject to the tariff.
Okay. And considering that the U.S. is a top destination of Philippine exports last year, it has reached $12.14 billion, or 17% of our total merchandise exports of the country. How do you assess the effect of this 20% U.S. tariff hike on our economy, considering this is just a follow-up on what Ace already asked, that there are some economists who are saying that.
Second, to your second point, that was part of my opening statement, that I said that the Philippines remains steadfast in advancing key economic reforms to sustain a competitive and investor-friendly markets for our enterprises to export to. As you know, we just signed a
Response to this.
I also have two answers to you. I don't know if you saw it, but I have a copy of the letter to President Prabowo of Indonesia. I also have a copy of the letter to Prime Minister Anwar of Malaysia, and a copy of our letter to us. Template po ito. So, I would just recommend that if you look at the letter, don't take anything too personally. The letter looks 99% identical. Ang pinalitan lang nila yung tariff rate, no? So ano lang yan, template lang po yan. So pwede nyo naman hanapin sa news. May kita nyo templated yung reply. As a matter of fact, nauna kasi sila Indonesia at Malaysia, 'di ba? Parang 2 days ago. So may kopya na tayo noon. Napakita ko na po yan kay Pangulo, at nakita po ng Pangulo natin yung letter ni Lawa kay Prabowo at kay Anwar, kila President and Prime Minister, no? So, templated lang po yan. Yeah.
Pero sir, do we plan to impose retaliatory tariffs?
I'm not aware of any such discussions.
Tapos sinabi din sir dun sa letter, President Trump justified yung tariffs by citing many years of the Philippines tariff and non-tariff policies and trade barriers that created what he calls unsustainable trade deficits. Is this something that
Template po yan.
template din? Pero is this
Makikita mo rin yan sa letter niya sa lahat ng ibang pangulo.
okay, so ganun talaga yung tone niya sir for
Yan yung template. The letter is exactly the same for everybody.
Pero is this something that we will also address as well as we continue our negotiations?
You know, actually, since it's a template, I feel it doesn't really apply so much to us. But of course, meron silang mga asks, no, regarding that. Pero syempre, we have our own laws, we have our own constitution. We cannot just say, come in. We have a lot of laws to contend with. We have our own constitution to contend with. We have our own ways of doing business. So we cannot just lift all the barriers and say you're all, diba? Alam mo na, I think you know what that means, diba?
Pero sir, in your negotiations with the USTR, meron ba silang specific na concessions na hiningi?
I think they also have a templated wish list of many things.
Pero for the Philippines, sir, can you share kung meron silang specific, especially for us?
No, I don't think there's anything specific. Because I think all the specific items we were able to address naman eh. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, Mr. Secretary, last na talaga. Chloe Hofana, Business World.
Last na talaga, sir. Next week po, Secretary Rubio will be in Malaysia to meet with ASEAN ministers. Meron din po bang Philippine delegation pupunta doon to probably negotiate about the tariffs as well?
I'm sorry, I'm not But I think you will see clearly that there is no such thing as a group negotiation. All the negotiations were bilateral in nature.
Okay, sir. And ASEAN still stands po na no retaliatory from the bloc?
I have not heard anything new from the ASEAN.
Thank you po.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Secretary Go. Okay na po? Para sa mas mabilis na driver's license renewal, sa administrasyon ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., hindi na kailangang pumila pa sa LTO ang mga magre-renew ng kanilang driver's license sa ilalim ng online driver's license renewal system ng DOTR. Kasama sa online application process ang online driver's education program at telemedicine sa pamamagitan ng eGov PH app. Nangangahulugan lamang ito na kaya na ang digital driver's license renewal sa loob lamang ng 15 minutes at may option pa ang mga motorista na ipa-deliver sa kanilang bahay ang kanilang mga lisensya. Patunay lamang ang programang ito na sa ilalim ng Marcos administration, hindi imposible ang pagbibigay ng mas mabilis at mas magaan na serbisyo para sa bawat Pilipino sa ilalim ng bagong Pilipinas. Walang kulay ng politika ang paglilingkod sa bayan. Muling binigyang katiyakan ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. ang mga local government officials sa patuloy na suporta ng national government sa lahat ng mga programa ng lokal na pamahalaan. Anuman ang kanilang political colors, dahil sa Pangulo, aksyon ang kailangan at di pamumulitika. Sa naganap na meet and greet kahapon ni Pangulong Marcos Jr. sa mga local government officials, binigyan diin ng Pangulo na hindi malilihis sa tamang landas ang bayan kapag ang pondasyong serbisyo ay pagtutulungan ng lahat at pagmamahal sa bayan. Ang nasabing pagtitipon ay nagpapatunay lamang na serbisyo sa taong bayan at kapakanan ng mga Pilipino ang pangunahing hangarin ng Pangulo. Transparency and accountability isinusulong sa gobyerno. Pinuri ni Budget Secretary Mina Pangandaman ang hakbang ng DILG na pagtibayin ang open and participatory governance sa mga LGU sa pamamagitan ng kanilang nilabas na Memorandum Circular Number 25 or 2025-065. Nilalayo ng nasabing memorandum na palakasin ang epekto ng open governance values sa mga LGU at maging ehemplo sila sa pagsusulong ng mga reforma na ikabubuti ng kanilang komunidad. Ayon sa kalihim, mahalaga ang kooperasyon ng mga LGU dahil sila ang mismong makakahikayat sa kanilang mga nasasakupan na makilahok sa mga programa ng gobyerno at makamit ang ninanais na pagbabago. Dagdag pa ng kalihim, isa itong hakbang upang masiguro na lahat ng serbisyo ng pamahalaan ay makakarating sa mga mamamayan, sa city o barangay level man. Mas mabilis, mas maayos, at mas kapaki-pakinabang na serbisyo para sa mga Pilipino. Ito ang gustong makita ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. sa lahat ng level ng gobyerno. May mahalaga pa po tayong isang announcement. We are pleased to announce that President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has appointed Mr. Dave Gomez as Secretary of the Presidential Communications Office and Attorney Sharon Garin as Secretary of the Department of Energy. Secretary Gomez brings decades of experience in journalism, government and corporate communications, having served as a senior reporter, Director General of the Philippine Information Agency and Communications Director at PMFTC Incorporated. Secretary Dave will ensure clear and truthful government messaging for every Filipino. Secretary Garin is a lawyer and CPA with extensive public service experience, having served as a multi-term Iloilo representative and DOE Undersecretary with a strong background in energy policy and legislation to advance accessible, reliable, and sustainable energy for our people. We look forward to their leadership as we strengthen government communications and secure our country's energy needs under bagong Pilipinas. Si Secretary J po ay magiging miyembro po ng Board of Directors ng MECO. At dito na po nagtatapos ang ating press briefing. Magandang araw para sa bagong Pilipinas.
Ngayon, ikaw bilang Pilipino, ano ang masasabi mo at reaksyon sa balitang ito? Mag-iwan ka ng komento sa ibaba at atin pong babasahin isa-isa.